This is Flint, and you're listening to G.I. Joe, a real American headcast.
G.I. Joe, the Real American Headcast, is the code name for Aaron's daring, highly trained headcast. Its purpose? To podcast about G.I. Joe, Fighting Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land and listen to the podcast. I am your host, Aaron Brotherhead Moss. Hope it's coming through fine. And welcome to G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast. Before I get started, let me go ahead and introduce my guest, I guess. Let's go ahead and start with that. Today, I've got several guests who are supposed to be here, but so far I've got one waiting backstage, so let's go ahead and bring him in. Joining me today, I have Brad Abraham, a.k.a. the star of the Celluloid Hero.
Now, let me take a wild guess here. You're Brett, right? I thought so.
That was a long pause. Anyways, hey, Brad.
You need a little editing there, a little tightening.
Yes, I need to pull that out and clean that up a little bit.
Yeah, but then if you've seen any of Quentin Tarantino's recent movies, he could use a little more tightening in the editing department too, I think.
Welcome.
No, he's good.
Welcome back.
He's good. It's all good. Thanks for having me back. We were talking backstage before we started, and I came back from my vacation with a little bit of a flu virus. So I managed to drag myself out of bed and into this chair to talk about G.I. Joe. There aren't many things that'll get me to do this, but G.I. Joe and you, Aaron, are certainly two of them. But it's funny, listening to the opening, the theme song that was used in G.I. Joe the movie. I will make little iTunes mixes of music, pegged to a certain era. But I have an 80s mix that's mostly pop, rock, and some hip hop, interspersed with some TV themes. And while I haven't added the G.I. Joe theme to it, I might, because I've got the Greatest American Hero theme, and I've got the Buck Rogers in the 25th century, the theme version that actually has lyrics, which only played on the theatrical version of it. And speaking of segues, I just covered the theatrical release of Buck Rogers in the 25th century on the Celluloid Heroes podcast, which is part of the Long Box Crusade podcast network. So, shameless plug alert, I will stop now.
Feel free to plug away. And join us over in the chat from YouTube. We have, look like YouTube. We have Heinz Kotz joining us. He says, hello, gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
You got to get Heinz on this podcast sometime.
Yes.
Ask him to join in and talk, because he always joins in on the chat.
Yeah, if you're free one of these Sundays, let me know, and I'll send you the link. You can join us if you want to, man. I'd love to have you. And also, I wasn't sure he was going to make it, but here he is, our friend from the land down under. We have David Finn.
He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, I come from a land down under.
How are you guys?
Glad you could join us, my friend.
Thank you. Just straight out of bed. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Brad. Great to be here. Woke up about 6 minutes ago. I'm feeling great. Just about to inject some coffee into my bloodstream.
Very good.
Yo, Joe.
And we're supposed to have another David. David Martell was going to be joining us, but he had a game he was doing, and I guess it's running a little long. So he may join us a little bit later in the show. So
okay, cool. How are you guys going?
Going good. Well, I'm doing good. Brad was just telling how he went to New York and came back with a little unexpected gift. So he's not feeling well.
Oh, no, I'm sorry to hear that.
Bit of a fever, hot-blooded.
Really?
Check it and see.
You know what I had, guys? I don't know if you have it over there in the States. I had RSV. My whole family had it. We were sick for like about 4 weeks. It's very similar to, it's kind of like COVID. Like imagine and our whole family got it. We were sick for about 4 weeks, gradually recovered. I'm back now, but yeah, I was it knocked us around more than you'd expect. So you're actually sick, Brad?
I'm okay. Mostly just tired. But
just toughness though. Turning up for the podcast, good to see.
Well, as I said to Aaron, I dragged myself crawling from the bedroom to the little studio here and hauled myself up into the chair and.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back, Aaron, because the last couple I've missed. I think one I was ill. My kid's been ill, but I'm so excited to be back.
Well, glad to have you back.
Yeah.
Yes. So
and big G.I. Joe news.
Yes. So, and Heinz Koch said he would like to join us. So maybe one of these near upcoming episodes, we'll get Heinz to join us.
Yeah. I mean, if Brad dies while he's on screen, then we can just replace him straight in. Straight swap.
There you go.
It's always a possibility.
And real quick, my background is courtesy of 3djoes.com. Fantastic website. And that's where I got that art of G.I. Joe that Brad twisted my arm made me get. And and also, speaking of 3djoes.com, and I think this is what David was referring to. Before I get there, real quick, this episode is sponsored by Big Danny Cool and Sean Adams over on the Patreon page. That's patreon.com/headcastnetwork. But I think the big news he was talking about, possibly, we were just talking about 3D Joe's, and they have a new Kickstarter going. I think it's called the Field Manual, if I'm not mistaken. Over on Kickstarter, I went ahead and backed it myself. There's 3 different books, or you can do all 3. Just go to Kickstarter.com and search for 3D Joe's, and it'll pull it up.
Yeah, I got the email from them about that as well, because I purchased the Art of G.I. Joe, the big book, I guess. And these are sort of pocket-sized guides. And one of the selling points they had was, if you're trying to organize your collection and figure out what's missing, or if you're going to comic book or swap meets and things and seeing what's there and sort of seeing what's complete and what's not. And I would imagine a lot easier to carry around than that Art of G.I. Joe book that Aaron got and I got. And I think Jared got one also, because that thing's like 20 pounds and it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Is it bigger than the comic book omnibuses? Those things?
Aaron could show you, but it would take about 5 minutes for him to lift it up and hold it and try and give a sense of it. It's a coffee table book in the sense that it's the size of an actual coffee table.
Really? Wow. Whereas these things, from what I understand, Aaron, and I was listening to another podcast actually who were going on about it, but what is it? It's like it'll say, here's a figure, here's all its accessories, here's everything, so that you can kind of... Because I'm sort of thinking I might not mind this myself,
I do have a link on the G.I. Joe Facebook group, facebook.com/group/G.I. Joe. There should be a link on there.
So I have a factoid, by the way, listening to Audible Interlude, and they were saying that all the G.I. Joe product from, the original, 80s into the 90s, whatever, from 82 to, 94, or whatever that was, there was something like about 480 pieces, I think they said. Does that sound right to you guys? It was around 500. It might have been just over
something
or just
like
under.
That.
Yeah. So this would capture all of that. I'm going to ask you two, Aaron, how many of that did you have? And Brad, how many of that did you have, do you reckon, roughly?
Oh, boy. Well, I think I collected G.I. Joe in the initial run from... I had a couple of the 82 figures, 2 or 3 of them. I didn't really get into it until 83, and I think by end of 86, I had moved on from the toys. So I had a pretty decent collection through 83 to 86, but I didn't have everything. I wasn't a completionist. There's lots of ones I didn't get. Yeah. I was selective, and my parents made me be selective. I was one of those kids who got...
I was going to say, possibly the parents might have been selective as well,
They had a say in the matter. I think the best Christmas I ever had, though, was Christmas of 83, where I got the Headquarters Command Center, the Vamp, and the Mobat, all for Christmas. So that was hauling the boxes down into the basement and setting everything up. So that was that was probably the most memorable year. Sure. But after that, I just kind of got a couple things here and there. But I was kind of moving off into other areas, so I didn't have everything.
Yeah, that's cool. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I started buying. I watched the cartoon from the beginning. I didn't start buying the figures until 85, and then went back. And there was a lot from the previous year on the shelf, so I picked up a lot of those. And then I bought 85, 86, 87, and then I started buying a few in 88. But that's when I graduated and started going to college. So maybe got some from 89.
Right.
And that's when I got out and ended up selling all my stuff because I moved out of my mom's house. And
sure.
Stupidity, I sold.
I was going to say, now you've spent the recent 35 years trying to buy it all back.
Yeah, pretty much. I've started buying them. Yeah, the stuff. I wish I wouldn't have got rid of all that.
It's so funny when you're buying back, like, literally childhood stuff, like, and you're doing it as an adult. And you sort of like, I saw this thing on Facebook yesterday. It said, nostalgic for the time when we didn't know what our baseball cards were worth. And it was a baseball card of Mickey Mantle, and someone had filled in, like, with, glasses, like, with a pen and, like, giving him, like, a cigar and, like, tally wrecked the card. It was so funny.
Yeah, and here's the link to kickstarter.com/project/3djoes/3djoes-field-guides. And according to what Carson posted here, the field guides will be an essential tool for the on-the-go Real American Hero collector. Each book will be roughly 500 pages and will measure 4 inches by 5 inches. These guides will be small enough to take hunting with you at collections, flea market, estate sales, and yard sales, showing you the figures and accessories in crystal clear live photos with enough detail to make an educated purchase.
I think it's really handy for the collector. Super handy.
Very much so. Yeah, but there's 3 books involved. You either buy 1, 2, or 3 of them, or all 3.
Yeah.
There's one on the loose figures, one on the file cards, and one on the mint on card figures.
I think it's an excellent idea. I tell you what, I'm always impressed by, because I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Like the way that these guys have done this sort of stuff, it's really good. And do they never, like, Hasbro or whoever doesn't mind them doing it all? Like, it's like this sort of like.
I'm assuming he gets permission. I'll have to ask him to see how that works. I'm assuming he's gotten permission because otherwise, I'm sure Hasbro would be throwing a fit. But I just think it's just I'm really, really impressed that they do this. And I actually think that this is a really good thing that many a collector, who's going to, like, like the conventions and stuff, picking up loose figures. Right. Oh, yeah. He said according to Carson, there's 483 Joes from 82 to 94. That's in the book for the loose figures. And the mint on card figures, there's 359.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not sure if he's not including, like, the Mellon figures on that or why there's discrepancy in the number, but
because there was some fan club, wasn't there, or something where you could get stuff from as well. Yeah.
There's the GI Joe. I mean, the GI Joe Collectors Fan Club that you can.
Quick show of hands. The latest wave that's coming out with Snake Eyes version 4. Who's getting stuff from that wave, from the classified? Yeah.
I'm down for the Armored Cobra Commander, the Claw, and Monkey Wrench.
I'm down for Major Blood. My goal with classifieds has been to collect, like, up to the 1984, what I call Hero Cobras, and he's the last one. And as far as the Joes, it's the original 13, obviously. But I also put in an order for Blowtorch as another favorite one from 84. Although in my case, and I'll give a little quick plug to the Nerdzoic toy store. He has a YouTube channel, which is really informative. He really goes through the nuts and bolts of what it's like to sell toys. He started his own store, but he gives you the option to pay in advance. Mm-hmm. So I prepaid and, like, for the item and shipping for Blowtorch and Major Blood through him.
Cool.
It cost a little more than I would have if I'd gone through one of the other channels, but you like to support a small business, so.
Oh, definitely.
You're a good man, Brad.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought, obviously, Snake Eyes version 4 and Armored Cobra Commander, for sure.
Yeah.
Major Blood's tempting, though, as well, I must admit.
Yeah, I started buying all the figures, but then I got to the point where there's getting too many, and I don't have the money and room And I posted on Facebook yesterday. I don't even have all my Joes open, and my shelf started getting full. So, and so I've just I've at this point cut back to the ones that actually I had as a kid. Well, I say as a kid, as a teenager, and that actually means something to me. So,
Sure. Why? I've got a question. Why does the Frag Viper have such a weird face? It looks like a robotic face. Have you seen the classified?
yeah, I don't. Again, the Frag Viper's one that came out after I kind of got out of GI Joe.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering, was it supposed to be sort of saying he had burns and maybe he was wearing some sort of a mask or something? You know?
Yeah, I believe it's supposed to be a mask, but again, the Frag Viper's one that, because again, like I said, I think he came out after I started getting out of GI Joe, and
he's a cool looking figure. Like when I look at the original, he's wearing a massive helmet.
Right.
Like it's actually a really good looking figure in the original. When I'm looking at it now, like it's just a bizarre figure. I just thought it was bizarre. Like is it a flamethrower he's wearing? It looks like it.
I believe so. Let me see. Grenade thrower weapon is a special design automatic grenade feeder.
Okay, right.
GIJoe.fandom.com says about him.
Okay. All right. But in the original, he's wearing like a full-on mask.
Yeah.
So that seems to be his better, to me, I mean, you would have him in the mask because that was his original thing,
As far as the cartoon, he was in I guess he appeared silently in the Operation Dragonfire, the Deke.
Right. Okay.
And then, I never besides that series, I never watched any of the Deke, so I'm not sure if he featured there or not.
Sure.
And then for the figure, it came out in '89, which is right after I got out. So
yeah. Final question, guys. Don't want to get political, but the tariffs, are they going to bite the classified line? And what do you think?
Aaron, it's your podcast. I don't want to jump in and say anything. I will just say I feel like the tariff situation is fluid.
Yes.
There have been big tariffs slapped on goods coming in from my home country, Canada, and it's kind of backfired. I think is the best. As if you look at current approval ratings for people who I won't name on this podcast. Sure. I don't want to get Aaron into trouble or anything like that.
Oh, Aaron probably saying himself. So
let's say a historic plunge into negative territory in a very short period of time. So it becomes one of those things where it's you either stay the course and you reap the damage, or you pivot somehow and try to save face. I will say that I've received emails from Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth, both of whom I've purchased things from in the past. Nerdzilla on his channel has talked about it as well, and basically said that, explained how it worked, but essentially said that some items you may have to pay extra for it, and they'll give you the choice. Big Bad Toy Store says, we'll send you an invoice with the final amount, including the tariff price, and you have the choice to either pay the extra freight or just cancel the order, which will really stink for them because that's revenue that they lost. They've already imported the figure.
Yes.
And it's sitting in the warehouse waiting to be shipped to you, and you decide, I don't want it. So there's going to be this huge backlog of stuff. But I'm told that most of the tooling and the molds and everything that's done for the classified series is done in Vietnam.
Okay, right.
So if things that are manufactured in China you've got like a ridiculous 250% or 200% tariff on it, like that's bad. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, on the one hand, my collecting of these things has kind of dropped off a bit anyway. I was never really gung-ho on it, plug for one of our favorite Joes who gets his moment in today's episode. But I wasn't the guy who was buying everything. There have been several waves announced that I just looked at it and said, I can pass on all those. And I don't need
selective is the
word. So, I guess we will see.
Yeah, I just wondered because, obviously, here in Australia, we're just literally, you know what I mean? Like, we're just at the mercy of whatever will happen. And if it's coming via China, Vietnam, and you would think inevitably it's going to impact. So far, in terms of pricing on Amazon, it hasn't. But it's early days. And as you say, it's so fluid because it's just, he's all over the map about, what he's actually doing and how long this trade war with China will last. There's so many... But I just thought I'd bring it up, guys, because it is relevant to the hobby, isn't it?
Like Brad said, I was looking at the Big Bad Toy Store, and they said, final price may vary depending on tariffs. So it will definitely, if they do go through with the tariffs. I know that's been, well, here's tariffs. Oh, we're going to hold off. Oh, we're going to put tariffs on now. We're going to hold off now. So if they do implement tariffs, it is going to affect, I think it's going to heavily affect the toy industry. And yeah, like Brad said, some of these toy companies like Big Bad Toy Store and stuff, they're the ones that are going to suffer the brunt because, they're going to order all these toys. And then, I know if the price goes up too much, I'm just going to cancel my orders. So
just fascinating though, because we won't get political, but I was just going to say it really does directly affect the hobby. So that was why I was bringing it up. Yeah, just
no, definitely.
We can talk about it here. This is not histank.com, where they have an iron fist. If you've ever visited that website on the
right, yeah,
on
I have,
forums,
but not
anything political gets spiked,
right?
Even tariff related, which makes sense because no argument has ever been solved on the internet.
Oh no, yeah. No, I just meant purely in dollars and cents.
Yeah,
for the collectors, yeah.
And here I don't care. So
I was going to say, Aaron. We all know Aaron's views anyway. I mean,
maybe I only have a handful of viewers, but hey.
I was going to say, Aaron's been in and out of Facebook jail more times than
Aaron is like the Steve McQueen of Facebook jail. He's just in there with his baseball gloves. His ball's kind of bouncing against the ball. Cool up, 30 days.
All right. I probably deserve it. At halftime, I don't deserve it, but that's another story entirely we won't get into right now. But also joining us from the chat, changing the subject, Joseph Jackson joins us. Hey, Joe. He says, Cobra. Very nice.
Cobra.
Welcome to the show. Glad you could join us, man. But, I think if the tariffs do go through and he does implement the tariffs, yes, I think it will affect the toy industry and negatively. Both, people will probably buy less figures, and shops will be stuck with things, and that eventually sales will go down. So, and I've commented before that I think Hasbro's executive decisions are kind of stupid at times. Sure. They don't make the best decisions. So I think they're going to look at this and say, oh, well, they're not selling, so let's go ahead and either stop these lines or cut way back. And I've already got complaints about the way they sell things,
That would be such a shame if, the classified.
Am
I right in saying the O-ring line's going to come back shortly? Wasn't there some deal inked?
I hadn't heard anything.
I thought there was.
I think coming... Super 7 has been slowly reintroducing the O-ring line. I don't know how they've been doing. One thing in favor of the G.I. Joe classified line is that Hasbro owns G.I. Joe.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Compared to something like Star Wars or any of the other lines where they have to pay a licensing fee and they have to get approvals, Hasbro owns G.I. Joe, so they can decide whether to continue with it or not. There's not really going to be that kind of outside influence on it. But given that I think it is their flagship line and it seems to be doing well overall, that I'm sure they'll figure something out. I hope so, because I want to complete the original 13. And then
come on, you've got a vested interest.
Yeah, I do.
How far are you now? How far are you out of the 13? How many have you got?
Rock and Roll, Scarlet,
Duke,
Grunt. Duke was actually not one of the original 13. Got Hawk and Stalker. And I pre-ordered Breaker. They've done a mass device Breaker exclusive to Target. I pre-order on the day of because that's one of the ones that I want to get, and I'm waiting to see if they're going to do a carded clutch like they did. Because right now he just comes with the vamp, and I'm not buying the vamp. I don't have the for it.
Right. And Snake Eyes wasn't the original 13, was he? He was.
No, he was. I have him, but I don't have the Commando version. I just have the Ninja version. But cool. I'm not particular. I'm not going to go buy another version of Snake Eyes.
I was going to say there's a few options if you were interested.
You do. He's like the Darth Vader of G.I. Joe. It's just that every couple of years, I'll put another Snake Eyes.
Aaron, do you remember how excited I was for my Desert Commander Snake Eyes?
Oh, you were very yes. We were talking.
I'm looking at. I'm looking at him right now, actually. I love him so much. He's so
you can send me messages, and you were very excited for that. So, very nice.
Desert Commander Snake Eyes. The pleasure I would feel if he turned up in a comic or a cartoon in Desert Commando, I would just feel so vindicated,
It might. I've noticed that with the Energon universe line of comics, that the appearances of the Joes in those seem to be patterned off the classified. Lines. They had the first issue that had Rock and Roll's infamous appearance. He looks
yeah.
like the classified version of it with the tattoos and everything else like that.
Don't get too attached, kids.
No.
Which I think is a smart thing to do. If they, they do have the new comic out, might as well, aim at the classified line, since that's the only toy they're really getting right now.
And let's be honest, the people who are buying G.I. Joe comics right now are guys in their 40s to 50s. I mean, it's
100%.
It's. I'm not sure there's a lot of younger kids, although apparently some people have claimed that there's a lot of teenagers who are starting to get into it too. So hopefully the next
wouldn't
generation
surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. A bit of counter programming too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed the Skybound comics as well.
Me too. Yeah, I'm really enjoying them. I'm on the mailing list for Skybound, and I get all that stuff. It's really good. Yeah,
very nice.
Doing good work. Speaking of comics, though, we should.
Are we sure?
Yes.
I love these extra, segments we get into. No, that's fine. No,
poor Joseph Jackson and Heinz Koch clicked onto this live feed. They're like, all right, they're going to talk issue 63. And it's been 30 minutes of stomach flu and tariffs.
I thought it was going to be a shorter episode because I didn't know if you were going to make it. And I was going to be me and Dave. So it was going to be a short episode today. And here, we're here 30 minutes in. And we're just now getting to the cover of G.I. Joe 60.
All right.
He says, quickly moving on.
Speaking of segues.
Not a very good one. But anyways, G.I. Joe 63. I've got the cover on the screen for those watching from home. The cover shows Snake Eyes and Scarlet, weapons in hand, walking through apparently a dangerous minefield. They're fully costumed, looking around for enemies as they're making their approach through the minefield. So let's get some thoughts on this cover. Brad, what are your thoughts on this cover of G.I. Joe?
Oh, well, I know we use the word iconic to describe many G.I. Joe comic covers.
Mm-hmm.
This one maybe isn't iconic in the way some of those other ones are, like 21 and the Snake Eyes Origin and some of the other ones. But I think this is a really good one, and I especially appreciate it for its use of color, particularly that sky in the background behind Snake Eyes and Scarlet. It looks like it's either an early evening or early morning kind of thing, and it really offsets the G.I. Joe A Real American Hero logo, which, but for the red, white, and blue on the right-hand side of the logo, is all just black and white. So it really makes that logo stand out. And there's a really nice kind of bleed through to the little, like I call it the window box with Marvel and Grunt and the issue and the price and everything like that. And I really like the detail on Snake Eyes and Scarlet. I think it's just well done overall, especially the creases on Scarlet's combat gear. It just has a nice realism to it. So many times these things just look like they're just painted on, but here it looks like they're actually wearing what they're wearing. You could have a nitpick and say, well, the wardrobe they're wearing doesn't match the actual scene in the comic, but it gets the point across, right? Where an actual representation of the actual scene wouldn't have worked. You'd have, them in their civvies and, spoiler alert, the Blind Master in between them. And, just looking at you would have been, eh. And I feel like there was like a directive from Hasbro that the covers must always feature characters the way they look, either in the cartoon or in the toy stores, even though they did break with that a couple of times. But, we can get into that further. So, a really great cover. It's covers like this that kept me reading this comic, even as I was kind of aging out of it and moving into other eras. So this one is one of my favorites.
And real quick, you're talking about, apologizing to Joe and Heinz for our tangent here. Joe said he's enjoying it, so that's good.
Good stuff.
And real quick, Heinz for this cover says he would totally put that on his wall. So
yeah.
So, David, do you have thoughts on this cover?
I love the cover. I just think it's so iconic. Frankly, two of my favorite characters. I almost think this is like a perfect cover because it's just it just grabs you. You know what I mean? If you were looking at this on the wall at a comic store, I'm just like everyone back in the 80s, like Snake Eyes and then Scarlet. I think it's super iconic, and it's proof sometimes simplicity is the best, way to grab attention. And let's face it, comics are famous for having covers that don't reflect the interiors. I'd take this any day. I think this is actually a really, really good cover.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. Yeah, like Brad said, this is very iconic. This is one, I think about when I think about G.I. Joe, especially this era. And I know we've always talked about, usually the covers either is something from the comic itself, a page or a scene, or, the next few seconds later, or it's something just kind of representation of the issue and totally abstract. This is kind of in between. I mean, we're getting something from the comic, but as Brad was saying, yeah, it's not directly lifted from the comic because if they use one of the scenes from the actual comic of this scene, we wouldn't know quite sure, hey, possibly who that is with Scarlet on the cover. We'll have some blonde guy, which we'll talk about, walking with Scarlet. Plus, we have some random black blind guy in the middle. Where you've got these actual action figures or the characters from the cartoon, however you recognize them best, front and center on the cover. Again, we don't see they're not walking their guns. They're not like here. It looks like they're in the middle of maybe battle or they're looking for something. That's not actually what's quite happening in the book, but yeah, it still gives you a clear kind of, let you know that there's something dangerous going on for our two characters here. So, and yeah, it's a great cover. I love it myself. So, and real quick, like I said, my buddy David Martell is supposed to be here, but he's running behind, so he may join us if he gets time. But he sent me his thoughts on the cover. Again, as we've been saying, he says this is one of his actual favorites, mostly because it strikes an imagination and a sense of anticipation. Reminds him of Snake Eye's Sixth Sense in the Mass Device miniseries in the cavern before the Snake battle armor activates. So that's Dave Martell's thoughts on this. So let's get some ratings on this. So on 1 to 5 Yojo Colas, 1 being it sucks, 3 being the average, and 5 being, as Tyne said, something you would totally put on your wall. Brad, how many Yojo Colas do you give this cover?
I'm going to give this one a 3.5. I don't usually do the half colas. It's not quite a 4 or a 5 for me, but I think it's a little better than 3, which is just an average. I like it a lot, and like Heinz said, I would totally put a poster of it on my wall.
Very nice. And Dave, how many colas do you give this one?
I'm actually tempted to go 5 because, and I'll say why, I think it's so immediate and it grabs you and it's almost perfect in what it does. So I'm giving it 5 with the caveat that its simplicity is its power.
Very nice. And what we're doing is that the people in the chat want to give your ratings. Feel free, and I can throw it on the air also. And I'm going to give it 4.5. Not quite a 5, but I don't know, it's pretty damn close. I'm borderline giving it a 5 because, yeah, as all you guys have said, yeah, I wouldn't mind blowing this up and paying it as a poster on my wall, which is criteria for being a 5. So, but I know there are a few better covers out there. So, yeah, I will knock it just a little bit and I'll make it 4.5 for me. But, yeah, it's a great cover. So I love it. So we all agreed that different rating numbers. We all agree it's a great cover. So let's get some information on this issue. This is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 63. Cover date was September of 1987. On sale date, June 9th, 1987. The cover price was $1. The title of this was Going Under. Writer, as normal, Larry Hama. Penciler, Ron Wagner. Inker, Andy Mushinski. Letterer, Joseph Rosen. The colorist, Bob Sharon. And the editor of this was Bob Harris. And the cover of this one was done by Mike Zeck and Bob McLeod.
Well, it's a Zeck. Nobody but Zeck. So it's great.
Cool.
And Joe Jackson gives it a 4.
Yep. Good stuff, Joe. Yo, Joe.
So, so I definitely agree. Yeah, it's a great cover. And, yeah, it seems to be a pretty much good cover all the way around. Also, this was reprinted in G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero Classic, number 63. They reprinted this cover right away. It was also probably in the complete collection, probably number 6, I'm assuming. And it's also in the trade paperback. I know they got the omnibus they've did as a hardcover Kickstarter. And I'm assuming it'll be in the second omnibus when they release it, which is coming out here soon, I believe. I think it's later for October or something. So
I wonder how many copies back in the 80s this sold. I'd love to know. Would it be over 1 million?
But
do you reckon it'd be over 1 million?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know how.
I know it was definitely in the 6 figures. Like it was in that 200,000.
So it's up there.
It was for a time Marvel's best-selling book,
which is crazy. I just love that. Like it's outselling Spider-Man. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. It was a Marvel book technically, but it wasn't part of the Marvel.
Like universe.
It was its own thing, but yeah, it still sold
It's almost surprising that they didn't do more with G.I. Joe with some Marvel characters. You know what I mean? Like, it is surprising almost that they didn't do it, you know?
Well, and again, I mean, it was its own universe. I mean, they did have the occasional crossover. I mean, in Transformers, had Spider-Man show up once.
Yes.
So, yeah, they didn't want to do too much as far as crossing the streams because, again, it was its own separate universe.
Sure.
So,
Imagine this, though. You do a Vietnam flashback with Snake Eyes and all that, and you put in Frank Castle. You know? That'd be awesome.
And there are some things that, if it was the same universe, that would be, would be some nice tie-ins there, but...
We'd love it now.
I think the only problem with that, and this is something that happened with another Marvel comic, which was The Nom, where there was always this sort of push-pull about introducing Marvel characters into it. And, there was a contingent that was for it, and there was, I think, a much more vocal contingent against it, saying, look, this is a very solemn, very serious look at the Vietnam War. Having superheroes show up into it is just going to sort of the memory.
Well, Frank Castle turns up in the dying days of that comic.
Yeah, I know. And that, I think, was just sort of a case of, like the Hail Mary trying to boost the sales, which had
between you and me,
off.
I absolutely loved it. But they're good issues. But I agree. But that was in the as you say, in the last phase of it when it was probably struggling a little bit.
It's like in a TV show when the ratings are failing, you introduce a kid to it. You bring in Leonardo DiCaprio as a troubled youth.
I want to say
into the what was the show? What was that?
Growing Pains.
Alan Thicke show, Growing Pains, or something like that. Or like the cousin Oliver. Frank Castle is the cousin Oliver of the Nom comic book.
And tying it into G.I. Joe, Larry Hama edited
the first year. Yeah.
Great.
It's a great comic. It's a great comic.
Oh, it's a great comic. Great.
I always like talking up to people. Really hard to find though, if you don't have the original issues.
Right.
They did the trades for about the first half of it. Oh God, it's like 15 years ago, which I've got. It's a shame because it's so good. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wouldn't have liked having the crossover with other Marvel characters because again, I like them separate. Yeah, G.I. Joe, especially the way Larry did it, was a bit more realistic in quotes.
Yeah.
So I mean, even though they had Serpentor and Raptor and things like that, he still kept tried to keep it a little bit more, and that's why he didn't have as many of the animal companions. And like we talked about here an episode or two ago, he flat out said no to Cobra Law. So
wise decision.
And I like Cobra Law, and I like what they're doing with it in the new Skybound universe. But at the time, I can see where Larry's coming from, and I can't really blame him.
I agree completely. Yeah.
So, but real quick, a synopsis. Well, how quick? Because a lot's going on this issue.
A lot of talking as well. Jesus.
Yes. So again, my synopsis I wrote on this. This issue, we find Flint, Lady J, Snake Eyes, and Scarlet relaxing at a beach in Grenada as the radio is talking about the 3 Americans captured in Barovia. As they head back to their hotel, a blind man asks them for help getting to his destination. They cut through it's Scarlet and Snake Eyes and the blind man cut across a field as Flint remembers where he's seen this area before. Snake Eyes and company steps on a landmine, in quotes, as Flint yells for them to stop. Flint is relating what happened to Hawk as Storm Shadow and Billy listen in. Billy was brought in by Jinx to talk to Hawk about his future with G.I. Joe. Storm Shadow hears the description of the black blind man and recognizes him as someone he thought long dead. Meanwhile, in the prison, Stalker is put on a work detail while Snowjob and Quick Kick meet their new table meet, Boris. When Stalker returns from work, he tells his companions about ways to escape. Snowjob tries to warn Stalker that Boris is the prison snitch right before Boris, snitches. Stalker is taken away to be beaten. Meanwhile, again, Serpentor and Mindbender find a military base in Utah where soldiers go into huts that contain more than they should be able to. Viper informs them of a similar building in San Francisco where people go in and don't come out. The final, meanwhile, Fred takes his pogo and hires a boat driven by Captain Min, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, to take him out to Cobra Island. I say a lot going on in this issue.
Tons.
And real quick, Heinz Koch on the cover gives it a 5. Thank you, Heinz. I appreciate that. And like I say, we all seem to really like this cover to varying degrees. So very nice.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get some thoughts on the actual issue. I've given a synopsis on it. Let's go ahead and Dave, why don't you give us your thoughts?
Look, I mean, it's what I call a transitional issue. There's a lot of setup going on, and I will say, for a G.I. Joe issue, it is relatively light on action, but it's heavy on setup. So, I mean, it's one of those issues you read and you're like, that was enjoyable. I have to rate it on what's on the page. It's like a 3 out of 5. You know, it's good. It's good, but it's you know the next issue it's going to be a lot of payoff. And I will say Larry deserves credit for just the sheer juggling he's doing with sort of separate storylines in 20 odd pages. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's not decompressed. He's got it to. I will say there's a lot of talking for a G.I. Joe comic. There's a lot of talking.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Like, I mean,
And like you said,
it's enjoyable.
like you said, this kind of, there's a lot of talking, a lot less action than you normally get from G.I. Joe. But as you said, this kind of sets up the next couple issues. So
I will say, whenever I see Granada mentioned, I always think of Natural Born Killers, where Robert Downey Jr. is like, Granada, where the shit went down. I always remember that for some reason. Like, you know, like, it's so many years, but because it's so funny. Because wasn't Granada one of those wars that was over in like 5 minutes? You know, I mean, I don't even know what happened, but I know it was brief.
yeah.
So it's funny. Granada, where the shit went down.
Yeah, very good.
That's pretty much it. You know, transitional but fun. You know.
Brad, thoughts on this issue?
I am in agreement with Dave. I like it a little more than him, but I agree that this is a really good, I guess we'll call it a placeholder of an issue with some really great springboards to future events, future storylines. And just for those not in the know, in TV talk, a springboard is a scene meant to kind of set up several episodes of story. And, you know, same thing in comics. But rather than ramble on like I usually do, I'm just going to zero in on the 4 or 5 plot lines running through and talk about just where I think they really land hard. The first is, of course, Grenada, because I was there when the shit went down in Grenada too. Of course, you know, there is zero doubt that Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Blind Master are alive and well, and I'm glad that Larry / Storm Shadow kind of puts a pin in that one really quickly, because we know is that, you know, Snake Eyes and Scarlet aren't going to go out in a explosion in a minefield. The Ninja Master is not going to accidentally step on a mine.
No.
I do find it funny, though, that Flint saying, well, Grenada is really the only U.S.-friendly island in the Caribbean, kind of ignoring Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's like saying Guam is the only Pacific island friendly to America while glossing over Hawaii. But
That's a good point.
topical, though. I mean, the Grenada invasion, for what it was then recent history. I remember reading about it on, like, seeing it on the news, the evening news, when it happened. And yeah, it was one of those things that was over and done with very quickly. It was almost like a little bit of a sort of a flex, a U.S. flex against, communism in Central America. And I will like to add, very dramatized in the Clint Eastwood film Heartbreak Ridge. Where the big third act mission is to go liberate Grenada, which was kind of a joke at the time. But Heartbreak Ridge, it holds the note of distinction for me of being the first non-orangutan related Clint Eastwood movie I ever saw. So, you know,
it's an enjoyable movie. It's an enjoyable
movie and profane. My dad took me to see it, and you know, that's probably that's where I mastered a lot of my schoolyard and school hall.
When it came out, I remember it had the most expletives in a movie or something per runtime. For it sort of set a record, supposedly. I don't know if that's true.
It did. Up until Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street, there were the most we'll call
funny,
it F-bombs, the most cursing, most F-bombs in a movie.
That's hilarious.
So that's Grenada. That's where it all went down. The Barovnia storyline for me is the real meat of this issue, because it presents the highest of stakes. In a weird way, being sandwiched between scenes with Raptor and Serpentor.
Yes.
It kind of feels like something out of a different book. It feels like something more out of a Special Missions book, which frankly becomes a little bit more jarring over the next couple of issues, where, you know, we go into space, and meanwhile poor Stalker and Quick Kick and Snow Job are stuck in a gulag, and think, you know, you can send people up in outer space, but you can't go and rescue your guys and everything.
They're not in a rush to get them out, are they? They're really not in a rush.
Yeah. But there is a lot of great character building amongst the antagonists. You got the camp commandant, obviously, but the guy who's the bragging about winning the gold for long range, sniping at the most recent Olympics. So it sets up some interesting, fun antagonists. It feels like trying to kind of bring a little bit more real world stuff into G.I. Joe. Because at the time, the Iron Curtain was still solid and up. And,
in place.
Yeah, and though I have to question why the Barovians let Stalker, Quick Kick, and Snow Job change back into their standard issue Joe outfits. Like, did they bring them along on this covert mission?
The Hasbro marketing team had spoken to them.
I think so. Anyway, but that's the next one is the brief bit with Fred and my guy Raptor. And I love that Raptor is in San Francisco and Fred chooses this exact moment to bail on him. Like, all right, Birdman's away. I'm breaking the lease and letting out for the territories before he finds his way back. And I did laugh at Raptor's little anxiety meltdown at the payphone because that totally fits with a mentally unstable man who dresses up as a big bird.
He's a good accountant, I'll say that.
He is, apparently, and that's probably what they say about it. They say, yes, he's kind of weird. He dresses up as a bird, but he's a really good accountant. He really knows his numbers. The bit with the Presidio is really great also because it closes the book on a storyline that kind of reached its culmination of about actually exactly 20 issues before. It was issue 43 where this all went down. So it's about, almost 2 years later, the official reveal that Candy and the Softmaster did indeed die in issue 43. And it closes that particular storybook, and it more or less closes out the Ripcord story, the saga, I like to call it, as Ripcord is my favorite Joe action figure and character in this comic for a time. He had a really great storyline going on from about issue 45 through 50. And from here on out, he more or less disappears, which is unfortunate. So,
See you, Ripcord.
Well, he's not the Soldier of the Month on my picks, but I'll give him a salute anyway, because it was always great to have a character, an action figure that you really liked, and have the character get a really full storyline. So that's where I have a lot of affinity for Ripcord. And lastly, we have Sir Pantless and Dr. Brainvart looking at pictures. And it just seems like a brief thing, but it does hint to something hidden in the desert, which we're still a couple of issues away from revealing. But as I said, these are all little springboards to keep us reading. So, like Dave said, not a lot of action in this one, but a lot of story. And it's one that I think is definitely well worth picking up and reading and appreciating. I don't think there's a single bullet fired in this issue. I don't think any weaponry is fired at all. There's football, there's threats of violence, there's a landmine.
There's a landmine, that's about it, yeah.
But that's really it. So, for an issue that's just people talking, there's a lot of stuff happening, and it really does fly by. And Larry really does a great job of juggling all these storylines. I just detailed 5 of them, and none of them feel rushed. They all feel just the right length. So I think this is a really great issue.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, Larry, like I said, it's a lot going on in this issue. Not a lot of action, but yeah, there's a lot of story going on. And yeah, Larry does a fantastic job on handling all these different storylines. He's out of these balls juggling, and I don't think he drops a single one. He does a great job touching briefly here and there just to let us know where each story's at. Even like the Fred is just a brief, page or two, but it lets us know what's going on with Fred and, what he's doing. Meanwhile, he's still keeping us updated on Stalker. Yeah, I like how it starts out. We get this nice page of Snake Eyes and Scarlet just with Snake Eyes wearing his rubber mask that he wears out in public. And I like this on page 2 where, they're talking about, and Flint's like, he's looking at Snake Eyes. He's like, your mask looks real realistic there, Snake Eyes. I can see it bunching up and, and your face expression. And I just love how, again, Snake Eyes doesn't say a word, but through his facial actions and the way that the artist draws the pictures. And we get, like say in here, Flint, for instance, commenting on, how we can tell he's a little upset with the whole G.I. Joe situation in Barovia. So, and like I said, this was my, I just started a few issues before this, so I didn't know who the blind master was. I picked up a little bit later on. I'd started getting the digest and finding out about the blind master. But yeah, I do like, they kept Boris at the table with the Joes, and and he's like, I wonder, why Boris's table is, the only one that's empty, and
yeah.
And they're like,
snitches win stitches.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, the guy's like, well, if anyone at your table does anything wrong, the whole table gets punished. And yeah, so Stalker comes back. He's like, "Hey guys, we can." I was scoping out ways we can escape, and Snowjob's like, "Shh," and he's like doing I was like pig Latin or something like that. Nixing on that, and Boar's like, "They're speaking American slang," and I like the fact that he didn't really rat out Stalker for trying to give them, tell them how to escape. But he was ratting out Snowjob for, talking American slang, making escape plans. When Snowjob was just telling, Stalker to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Stalker gets dragged away and gets beat. And yeah, I like as they're dragging away, everyone's looking at Boris, and Boris like, "What? What am I going to do?"
Yeah.
I think how Stalker gets actually with Snowjob, they gets dragged away to get beat, and Stalker gets ready to say something, and I like this look on Stalker's face there. He's just, I want to get up and kill. Again, I can see Samuel L. Jackson doing, I'm going to kill a mother. And he's just looking at board. Well, I got to do what I got to do. But yeah, we get the conclusion kind of. I mean, we assume they were dead, but since Billy survived, maybe Candy or the Softmaster survived somehow. But yeah, we get clarification here that Billy tells them that no, the Softmaster and Candy are both dead. They're blown up in the car. And yeah, we don't find out this is the Blind Master yet. That's next issue. But yeah, we do have where Flint's talking to Storm Shadow, and Storm Shadow, describe him again. He's got, he starts describing him back. Yeah. Oh, this guy. Yeah, I thought he was dead for a long time. Yeah, and I do like, in quotes, the cliffhanger on this, where, we get Fred, saying, well, I want to go out to this point here in the ocean. There's only thing just go right them.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's where I want to go.
Yep. Destination.
Yeah, great issue. Yeah, very, very much no action, but yeah, lots of story, lots of setup for the next couple of issues, which is going to give us, action galore. So fantastic. And since Kevin's not here, I know he always likes mentioning the letter column. In the letter column here, we do have Mark Lowe's, I believe it is, talks about here a couple issues ago where Scarlet and let me see, I'm just looking here. I forget who was on this team. Scarlet was talking about how her and Flint obtained the Terradrome glands, but we actually know it was actually Lady J that did it. And I'm like, well, how this is a mistake? And this guy's saying, well, what it is that Lady J's an expert with disguises. That wasn't Scarlet, but we saw Lady J was disguised. Just a Snake Eyes poses Flint in issues 54 through 55. The Joe's preparing for a situation where they might need a double for Scarlet. And they give him no prize for his explanation why, it was a mistake that Scarlet was talking about how her and Flint had captured the blueprint. So, and I believe we talked about that here a couple issues ago.
Yeah, we did. I think I picked up on the gaff in that issue. And I think one of the possible explanations that was suggested was that it was actually Lady J in disguise as Scarlet. Although I think I said it more as like some weird fetish thing that Flint has. But no, as a no prize winner, that's actually a very good one. That if the mission went sideways, you wanted Scarlet to go in and not Lady J. So that's a good explanation. Mark Lowe's address withheld by request. I like going through these issues and just seeing where people were writing from. So that's a fun one.
Oh yeah, I used to love reading the letter columns all the time. After I get done with the issue, I'd definitely go to the letter column and read those when they had them. So
I'm going to have to go back through and look, because I distinctly remember when I was doing a reread of G.I. Joe, reading through the letters column. And if any of you participating in the podcast or listening know the name Pablo Hidalgo, he is sort of the head story guy at Lucasfilm.
Oh, okay.
Or Star Wars. He actually wrote in a letter to G.I. Joe. At one point.
Very nice.
I'm not sure which issue it's in, if it's when it's coming up or when it's already happened, but I remember flipping through it and looking at it and going, I wonder if that's the same Pablo Hidalgo from Lucasfilm. So
it's awesome in comics when sometimes in some of the old stuff you'd see like the really old comics, and you'll see like a Marv Wolfman, a Chuck Dixon, they show up in letter columns, writing in as fans when they're young.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it happened quite a bit, because a lot of those creators were quite heavy into fan groups, and so they did actually, write a lot of letters and stuff back in the day. It's crazy,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The one thing you miss with a lot of the reprints, like the trade paperbacks,
yes,
and things like that, is you do lose the ads and you do lose the letters columns, which is unfortunate.
I think the letters columns can add flavour. I mean, the ads can too, but like the letters columns, they add a sense of sort of a time and a place, and I almost wish they were included, in the trade paperbacks, but of course they're trying to minimise paper cost, blah, blah, blah.
Speaking of digressions, it'll be a quick one. I don't know if either of you read the Garth Ennis comic series Preacher.
Oh, yeah.
The letters columns in those issues were probably the most entertaining part of that whole comic book. And it's an entertaining comic, but he would have contests and, it was almost like just a lot of jokes and things like that. But around issue 40, they stopped running letters columns in all of the DC books because they realized, the sales were down overall, and it was that sort of that 90s comic book apocalypse. And the Bean Counter said, well, if you lose the letters page, you can sell a couple more pages of ads.
Yes.
And that's kind of what happened. So it was just an unfortunate thing. But yeah, in this golden era, the 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s era of comic books, the letters columns are always a lot of fun.
I remember back the Punisher letter columns used to be just wild. Guys just chiming in. Like, it was just awesome. Guys just chiming in with the most crazy shit. I think it was called Punishing Males in the mainstream comic. I used to love those columns because those guys would just come out with anything. They were almost challenged by the editor to write in with some crazy shit. That was awesome.
Yeah. But you mentioned the letter column, but the ads also, I mean, I do miss the ads because, the ads, as you kind of were saying, that it does give us I was going to hold that up too. The ads do give us a kind of a time and a place, and it lets us know fading out.
It's like the wedding issue.
Yeah.
It's the wedding of the year. Wow. It's the wedding of the year. It's Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah.
Big deal. Only tying the knot.
Yeah.
Living happily ever after.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Until the devil got involved. But
yeah. That guy's a jerk.
Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21.
Yeah.
And Marvel Saga 22 had to look at the relationship. Yeah, I was going to bring that up because it lets you know when this takes place. I mean, there's M&M's ad. There's several ads for like Mile High Comics, and that we've talked about it before. The Captain Olympic.
Mile High Comics, were they around back then? Wow.
Yeah, they were big back then. Yeah, in the comic and the letter and the ads. That a Robotech.
Yeah, Robotech. All right.
Robotech role-playing game.
Played it. Used to play it back in the 80s.
I never did play that one. I wasn't a huge Robotech fan, so I skipped that.
Neither was I, but the guy who owned the game was, so he did a couple of sessions. It was pretty cool. Hilariously, a lot of I used to love comics in the early 80s. There was a lot of O.J. Simpson ads. It was always hilarious to me when you're reading it now.
Ads for D&D and TSR.
Yeah, right on.
I hold that back up. Hold the D&D and TSR. I love the how to deal with pandemonium, because if you look at it, it's upside down, and you'd think it's a misprint, but then you turn the book upside down so it's right side up, then you can read it. And I think that's a really
it's cool,
really clever ad.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, you look at it, is that misprint? Okay, I see what they're doing. Very nice. But and there's a Chips Ahoy ad in this one, and then of course the Marvel subscription.
Yeah.
Again, as I've said before, I never did do the subscription because I was afraid of how they would come. I didn't trust the mail.
I think
I
mentioned this to you. I had a subscription to G.I. Joe back in the day, and I still actually have one of the issues. I think it's issue 40 or 41. That's still in the brown paper.
Very nice
sleeve that they put it in. So it's bagged and boarded, and it's in the long box.
Over the years, different books, I thought about getting subscription too, but especially sometimes, in the 90s, they would give special offers, and like Green Lantern, you got like a Green Lantern ring and other things.
Sure. The only problem I had with the subscription was the issue would arrive like three weeks after it hit newsstands.
That would annoy the hell out of me.
I'd go into the local convenience store or bookstore, whatever, and there it would be on the spinner rack. Oh, my issue has not arrived yet, so I'd get in trouble for reading the comic book in the store.
That move, always a good move.
You're gonna buy that or not, kid?
Yeah, I used to stand there and just read tons of Marvel, just like at the actual thing. And if the worst you got was eventually that barking thing, like, "Hey, it's not a library," you're like, "Okay, well, I've read like 6 comics, so I'm okay," just roll out.
Or you try and make the peace, and you just grab a comic book and you slap your dollar on the counter.
Yeah, it's okay. You got me. I read a lot of Hulk that way for some reason. Like Peter David Hulk, I read. There was probably a year where I read his stuff in the store because it was a great run. And this was early on in his run too. Yeah. I just remember it like being in the store, and I was just like, I loved Hulk, but I didn't have the funds to get all the stuff I wanted. You know what I mean? I was just a kid.
Oh yeah.
You know, yeah. Great stuff.
And from the chat, Dave, as I said, Dave Martell is supposed to join us. He said he won't be able to join. He just finished running his game, but he'll be listen to us on his car on the way back home.
Good stuff.
So we'll miss out, but maybe next time, Dave. But yeah, thank you very much for chiming in. Glad that you're here in spirit, at least.
Mm.
And so let's go ahead and move on to the next segment.
The real American hero.
And this is the Joe or Cobra that did something special, or even anyone else that deserves an extra spotlight or deserves an extra mention. Brad, do you have a real American hero?
I do. It's actually going to be, drum roll, please. It's going to be Billy.
Very nice.
He holds up to questioning from Duke and from the computer quite well. He answers their questions. I mean, you got to think from his perspective, being sent to the Presidio and then sitting at a desk and then, dropping down to the floor on a little elevator and into the sub basement. But, he answers the questions. He gives Storm Shadow and Ripcord and I guess us, by extension, some closure with regards to the Soft Master and Candy. And he kind of changes the metric, as we say. And if I recall, he kind of leaves the story for a little bit. So for that reason and reason specified, I'm going to go with Billy.
Yeah, I do like how when he was talking, I think it was Hawk. He said, that's the whole story. I won't tell you anything against my father. I owe him that much. And Hawk's like, I won't ask for anything more. But, I do like, even though, Cobra Commander's been, kind of a dick to him his entire life. He's still, well, I don't want to give, I'm not going to give you information on him. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. And I don't know if he really owes Cobra Commander anything at this point in his life, but you do have to admire him for, his commitment to his father. So great choice. David, do you have a American hero?
I have, my hero is in fact a villain of the piece, but I think it's so iconic, Boris at the table. And with his, I like the way you rationalize, like, hey, what choice do I have? Like, there's no hope. I just think it's actually a really good moment in the comic, and just also the artwork really sells it of Boris as just the ultimate compromise of the ultimate betrayer. But I just think he deserves a mention. And there's so many people doing little bits in this comic. It's hard to pick an overall winner. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, but I like Boris. Yeah.
That's probably my head. There's a lot of great characters in this book to get you this issue. It's hard to narrow it down. Again, for that reason, I'm giving mine to Stalker. I think Stalker, he did it. He's out there working, in the field all day or whatever, moving the trees around and the lumber and all that. But while he's doing so, he's still keeping an eye out for finding ways for him to escape. And then, just that scene when, Snowjob gets dragged away to get beat. That just look on Stalker's face like, I'm going to kill him, mother.
Yeah.
And, he's able to hold himself back. And then he just gives that look of death at Boris. So.
Yeah, Boris.
But they were all great choices. Yeah, there was, like I said, there was a lot of great choices in this issue because a lot going on. So that is the real American hero. And again, as we're going through this, as I've said, if you guys in the chat want to throw anything out, feel free. The next section, I guess, is the favorite page of art. Again, this is something if you could take home as a page of art, which page would it be? So again, Dave wasn't able to join us, but he sent me his choice, page 5, the one I was kind of referring to, where Stalker's out here. And I believe this is where I think Brad had mentioned about the guy that was talking about being a sniper and you can hit him, a million yards away, whatever. This is David Martell's choice. Great choice.
Cool.
I love that look on Stalker's face. He's just, you can tell what Stalker's thinking, but he's holding himself back because, well, he doesn't want to be shot in the head. So, and this is my choice, page 13. Again, there was a lot of choices in this book, but
Nice one.
the explosion, just Flint tackling Lady J to push her out of the way of the explosion. I love that explosion, that top panel. And as Lady J goes running to the field, he tackles her so she doesn't run into another mine. Fantastic page there. What page did you want to choose?
Mine is an interesting one. It's page 2. There's a very tasty shot of Skull up there on the towel. And I also I'm a big fan of Snake Eyes' mask because it's like the most incredible mask ever. And then the close-up of the green sunglasses. So just overall, I enjoy that page, mostly for Skull, but also for Snake Eyes. So, yeah, I just think it's a good page overall. It's a strong page. Really shows you what a gifted artist was working on this title.
And there's the page you're referring to. Yes, a nice shot of Scarlet's.
She's looking
you gotta love. And that's I was referring to earlier. Yeah, when Flint's talking to him and he's like, "How creepy how that rubber mask of yours seemed to have expression."
I was gonna say, missed opportunity to have a branded G.I. Joe swimsuit issue, and you could have,
Back in the day, they were doing things like that. So
would it look kind of fetching on Scarlet from the view that we've got? Just my ideas, just my artistic, criticisms here.
And I'm kind of surprised we never got a figure of Snake Eyes with the rubber mask on.
Yeah, me too.
So
imagine this. They made it removable, and it was the crazy image from that issue.
Yes, that would be. Or, do a classified figure with them and they do the swappable heads. Yeah, have one of the rubber mask.
Yeah.
Mask head and then with the.
Am I the only one who, when I saw that, I was like, it's bad, but it's not as bad as what I thought it was going to be?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people said that same thing. And that's kind of like Alfred Hitchcock used to say that, when you do a lot of his movies, a lot of times you try to leave things off screen.
Yes.
You couldn't see because, your imagination is so much worse than what they could actually do. Same way with this. Yeah, for years we hear, there's one scene where someone's throwing up after looking at Snake Eyes' bare face. And when we see it, it's not as bad as we imagined.
I would like to get Larry's opinion on that image now, what he thinks, because I feel confident in his mind it's worse than that,
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely.
Speaking of Larry Hama, the investigation's continuing about his non-appearance at that convention.
There's a convention in Sacramento today, this weekend, and Larry's supposed to be there today only. And I thought about canceling today's show and buying a ticket, going up there and seeing if I could talk to Larry, but I didn't have the extra money to buy a ticket, so I didn't do it. But then yesterday, I think it was announced that Larry wasn't going to make it due to, what was it, airline issues?
Flight issue, like it's something to do with his ticket and they couldn't get it. And as I said to Aaron, I said, could you not just jump online and buy a ticket? Like what the hell's going on? Is there a hostage situation? Like I just feel that there's a whole storyline there, which no one's talking about, but I'm talking about it. Lois Lane's on the case,
Yes, the G.I. Joe head cast.
Maybe Larry just got out of bed and went, not today. And just went back to, no.
Very well could be. I don't feel like doing California. I don't feel like doing Stockton or Sacramento, whatever it was. It was Sacramento.
He's an older man. He wakes up, but he's not in the best of health. He just thinks, nah, I'm too old and too rich to get up for this.
Well, New York to California by flight. It's not the easiest of flights to be on.
No, it's not. How many hours is that in the air?
It's like 5.
Yeah, and look, let's face it, he's an older guy.
Yeah, and over anywhere, and
maybe they said to him that, we're not going to do an airport pickup, and he goes, well, I'm not coming. I just hung the phone up.
That's possible. That is all.
He did heat. I'm talking to a dead man, and just hangs the phone.
I know Larry. I think Larry's commented before on Facebook how
he channeled Robert De Niro in Heat. I'm not saying anything. There's nothing. There's a dead man on the other end of this phone line.
Yeah, I like it. I just think that I love it when people do that. But hey, good. At least Aaron, you didn't get the ticket, so
Yes.
you know.
Yes, I would have been disappointed going down there. Oh, no, Larry. That's why I'm here.
You would have canceled this show. You would have postponed this
Yeah.
broadcast and go to see
And
the
Larry
person who
didn't
wasn't
make
even
it.
there.
Yes. And real quick from the chat, Dave Martell
Stalker.
says Stalker. That's his Real American Hero. And again, he said he loves page 5 for all different perspectives. I guess he stopped for gas. So he's not texting while he's driving. He stopped for gas. So he threw us a quick message while he stopped. So very nice. Thank you very much for the update there, Dave. I appreciate that. So again, that was the page of arts. Brad, your choice. Would you like to talk about this?
Yes, sir. I chose the splash page. I'm a sucker for a good splash page. Let me just say that. And there were a lot of ones in this book I could have chosen from, but again, because it's not a very action-heavy book, the choice became a little more difficult. But this might seem a little innocuous, but I just like the foreground, middle ground, background action happening. You have the downed helicopter in the bay, off in the distance. You have Flint and Lady J doing their From Here to Eternity, running in the surf thing. And then you got Snake Eyes and Scarlet sitting on the beach. And it just, those three planes of perspective are each of them telling a different story where, you know, Flint and Lady J look like they're having fun, and Snake Eyes just kind of staring at the little TV in his hand. You know, this is 1980s. This wasn't an iPhone or anything like that. And Scarlet's face is kind of in shadow, and I just
Her ass isn't though. Her ass.
well,
isn't.
that was going to be my next point. I'm glad you got to it before I did, and you know you can see her butt. And but no, and I like the palm trees as well. You got one along the left hand side of the panel, but the two to the right looks like they're blowing in the breeze, and you got this nice cloud in the background, a little bit of gray moving in. So it's, you know, it could have just been like a one-off throwaway. Okay, they're on a beach, and here's how it is. But Ron Wagner and Andy Mashinsky, I think, and you know, they did a really good job. And you know, let's give a shout out to because it's Bob Sharon as well for the coloring. So it's just it really comes together nicely.
I agree 100%. Yeah, this is one of the pages I was looking at also to pick. But
I beat you to it.
yeah, yes, it's a very nice page. I like this one also. Yeah, for everything you described, yeah, it's fantastic, and especially for Scarlet.
Can I just say there's one page that doesn't win? It's the one where everyone's talking and there's like 6 floating heads. I never like that when they do that. It's later on in the comic. You know, it's like a panel. I'll tell you what page it is. It's like okay, here it is. Yes, I am talking about that one. I'm not a fan of that because that to me is like, I don't know. I just think they could have done with some background there, personally, in my opinion.
I like it for what it is because, again, it's just a conversation. I think a background may have distracted
Sure.
on because, again, this is where we kind of get to reveal that, you know, Storm Shadow knows more than what everyone else knows at this point.
I just feel the default background should be the American flag or something, you know.
But no, I see where you're coming from. I actually didn't mind it. But I can see where you're coming from.
Just an observation. That's more than anything.
Yeah.
Larry had to do a hell of a lot of lifting in terms of dialogue in this issue, and he does a really good job.
Oh, yeah. Yes, very much so. So that is the page of art. So we'll go and move on to the next segment, which is Postbox the Pit. So first off, we're talking about Heinz earlier. He sent me an email, and this is more for the third Friday of the month when I do my live stream and I open up my G.I. Joe and Transformers and everything figures. He says, hi, Aaron. I just had to let you know that I bought my first G.I. Joe Classified Series action figure today. You always have so much fun opening the package during your video. I was thinking I had to try it. I didn't really want to buy them, space issues, and my wife might not like it, but I had to. When Walmart Plus had Tomax and Zaymont and Stalker, all for like $35. Maybe one day I'll open them, or I will just continue to watch you. Have a great day, Heinz.
Do it, Heinz. If you didn't do it already, do it. You know. Do it. Scotch and cola. Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Make my day.
But yes, that was Heinz sending an email in. Thank you very much for emailing, Heinz. I appreciate you know. But over on Facebook, these are, again, not everybody, just the ones that drew my attention. Roger Taft, he has links to the After Action report that you can buy. In fact, one of the latest ones he advertised was talking about issue 21 of G.I. Joe, the silent issue. They've got an After Action report talking about the making of it and a lot of information on the silent issue. Also from Facebook, we have Joe Jackson, Paul Cush, our very own Kevin Reitzel. Kevin's always posting pictures of his cosplay and various G.I. Joe stuff. Thank you very much. I enjoy seeing those.
Is that Joe Jackson, the musician from the 80s?
Joe, are you a musician from the 80s, my friend? Let us know.
Had a couple of hits from memory.
He's on watching us right now, so you can let us know. Are you the Joe Jackson?
Wasn't there a famous baseball player or something called Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Yes, we mentioned that last issue. I think Jared had brought that up or something.
So it's not even the first time he's getting this joke. So sorry,
Joe Jackson, yes.
I'm sure he's heard all this about 1,000 times in his life.
Last month we gave him the Soldier of the Month, and
good for him.
Yeah, it was mentioned about maybe is he Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Mostly for his music career and his baseball career, we're giving him Shelter Month.
As I said, there's Peppy Pap Sampson, Jim Marshall, Ben Wiley, James Von Warner, and of course Sean Adams. And over on Patreon, we have Bill Bear, Cosplay Dad, and as mentioned, the head of the show, Sean Adams, and Big Danny Cool. So I want to thank you guys very much. And here Joe's still watching us. He says, "I wish." So no, he's not neither the musician nor the shoeless ball player. So he's just Joe Jackson, the G.I. Joe fan, which works for us. So that's all good.
Yeah, 100%.
So moving on, again, if you want to contact us, there's a bunch of different ways you can either watch the show or leave comments. There's facebook.com/groups/G.I. Joe, x.com/G.I. Joe Headcast. You know, I'll do as much there as I should. Patreon.com/Headcast Network. And you can join Sean Adams and...
I've got a question, Aaron. Have you ever been on Threads? I constantly get advertisements to be on Threads. I'm like, I don't need another social media thing, you know?
I'm not on there, but I am because Facebook throws things on there automatically. It's tied into Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, when you post on Facebook, you probably have a Threads account.
Like, it's like, why is there Threads if Facebook own it? Like, don't they already have Facebook? Like, why have we got, like, Facebook too?
I think Threads is supposed to be their version of...
For the kids or
Twitter?
something, is it?
I think it's more like their version of Twitter, if I'm not mistaken.
Jesus, just like we need another version of Twitter. Like,
just what the world needs. More
yeah, like, hey, you haven't had enough Twitter? Here's another one.
But yeah, so you probably do have a Threads account because you have a Facebook page. So yeah, I think
I remember when everyone was like, "I'm leaving Twitter for Blue Sky." I was like, yeah, "Please just go." Like, you know.
Well, I left Twitter for Blue Sky, and then I looked at Blue Sky and I went, Blue Sky kind of sucks only from the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah,
so I jump on Blue Sky to promote an episode of the Celluloid Heroes Pod or a screening that I host. I host movie screenings at the local cinema.
And what's happening?
I'll jump in. I'll jump in. I'll post something and then I'll bounce. And maybe the next time, a month later, I jump back on again, and there's always people asking me questions about this or commenting on that. That I feel like I have.
Okay, I should put something on there just for signal, but I just can't be bothered. I just get so sick of social media,
Yes, yeah. As we talked about, I think we talked about this last month. I haven't signed up for Signal for Blue Sky, whatever it is, because honestly, I don't do what I have with Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I'm struggling with what I already have.
Yeah, so I need another account just to ignore. I'll throw something on there every once in a while when I think about it, and then I'll forget about it for 6 months. And yeah, that's why I haven't signed up for Blue Sky yet, because honestly, I don't need something else to ignore. I've got enough in my life.
And if it's just all the people who threatened to quit Twitter, like, I was sick of those people already. Like, you get over there. What are they all just? I imagine it's one of two things. Either they're sitting there just all agreeing with themselves, or it's just the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because what's stopping?
It looks like a lot of liberals have gone over to what I've seen on Facebook.
And a big circle jerk.
Yeah, pretty much.
On the one hand, it's the left wing circle jerk, and on the other extreme, it's the right wing howler monkeys flinging shit at each other.
Oh yeah. They're both terrible. Don't get me wrong. I could do without any of them, frankly.
Yeah, me too. I could launch into this.
Not to disparage any of them, but yeah, I ignore.
I'll disparage them.
I ignore Instagram. So yeah, I don't need another account to ignore.
I'll say this though: has any when sort of like Stephen King, for example, we all know he hates. We know his politics. Like, how often does he have to keep going on about? Like, whose mind is he changing at this point? Like, we know his position. You know what I mean? And that applies to any of them across the spectrum. Like, these guys who they have one point of view and they just constantly hammer it. It's like, get it. We got it the first time. Like,
I can't really comment on that because, again, as anyone that follows me on Facebook knows that I make my views.
you ran. I love it. You ran.
I make my views very well known, so I can't really disparage any of these guys because I do the same.
I always wondered when you look at the people like Stephen King. We'll use Stephen King in his example, and I always say, the fact that he's even on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever just seems so foreign to me. Because if not to offend anybody out there, but if I had Stephen King money and influence and awareness, you'd never see me anywhere. I'd pump out a book a year. I'd do the press tour, I'd do the publicity tour, and then I'd go back to my place in Maine or my other place in Florida. Same thing with the Harry Potter lady. I mean,
J.K. Rowling,
like she's all over Twitter and all the
she loves
social medias and things like that. And I'm like, if I was her, I'd be just content to live in my Scottish castle.
I picture J.K. though always has a glass of wine when she's typing away, and she's just like, here you go. She's like, I'm worth $4 billion, so I'm really not too worried about the negative pushback,
Well, and I think what it comes down to, and this is just my philosophy, or my philosophy, my theory, is that when you become that successful, you're looking for things to give you the little endorphin hit.
Yeah.
You're looking for the engagement because you quite literally can just do whatever the bleep you want. You can just hang out at your house, you can hang out at your castle, you can just build Lego sets all day, which is what I would do if I had that level of success and fame. I would build Lego sets and I would podcast about G.I. Joe. And that would be my day. Like, what's Brad Abraham doing? Well, he's on this podcast and he's just doing his own thing. And I think when you've achieved that much success, you want to kind of keep it going. You want to remain relevant and in the spotlight because you remember what it was like when you were actively publishing books that people wanted to read. And you were like this big celebrity. Once that all goes away and fades, it can be very difficult.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Anyway, that's been my
it's interesting. But with all that said, follow Aaron's multiple pages, which he'll update every now and then. Knock yourselves out, kids.
Yeah. You can follow me too. You can follow me too. I won't be there. You can tell me what's going on there. I'm probably not going to be there.
And
although I always respond to people who write to me on my website. So. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
My wife asked me, why do I always comment on, my anti-Trump and this and that? And I'm like, well, as someone once said, for, evil men to succeed, all it takes is for good men to stay quiet. That's why I feel, and maybe that's why, Stephen King and Rowling, all these others make their comments. They strongly believe, right or wrong, they strongly believe in their view and they want to put it out there. I mean, anyone that's seen my Facebook page know that if I say anything bad about either one of them commenting, I'd be a hypocrite. So
I love it actually when you start because I'm a ranter as well, but I'm also lazy. Because the thing is back in the day, like say 10 years ago, I used to get in Facebook arguments all the time, and I realized it was a complete waste of time, and I used to find it very draining. So. Look, I'll still make comments, but I make my comments now in news articles where I just don't care. And my comments are always like, this guy's a clown. He should be shot. He should be in jail. Like, I just rotate. But, when you get the Facebook arguments where it's really personal and people are slamming back and forth, I realized that was just a negative train and I just hopped off it, But,
I get that way sometimes too. I get arguments with these idiots. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So.
But we love you, Aaron, and we love all your social media.
Well, thank you. And real quick, to move away from what we're talking about, back to Joe Jackson.
Joe Jackson.
He's also been called Michael Jackson's dad too. So
Michael Jackson's dad. It's hilarious.
Yes. His dad was named Joe Jackson. So a lot of Joe Jacksons out there.
Joe Jackson, JJ.
None of them is this Joe Jackson. So
okay, it's not Michael Jackson's dad.
So, again, normally I do a Soldier of the Month. I don't have one this month. No one really jumped out at me. Didn't get time to pick anything, so we're going to go and skip this section this month. And before we go there, we're going to go and take a quick commercial break. I will play my a couple promos, and we'll be right back with the rest of the show.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
A long time ago, in a comic book rack far, far away, During the years between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Marvel Comics kept the Star Wars magic alive, delivering bold new stories, expanding the mythology, and taking our favorite heroes and villains on unforgettable adventures. Now join me, the irredeemable Shag, and an ever-changing roster of guest hosts as we journey back to this incredible era. We begin with a comic adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back and continue through the thrilling tales leading up to Return of the Jedi. If you're a seasoned Star Wars veteran who knows your share of brie from your hoojibs, or a brave explorer venturing into these comics for the first time, this is your hyperspace lane to classic Star Wars adventure. Join us for Marvel Star Wars, From Empire to Jedi, every other month on the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Beginning in June 2025.
Beginning at the ripe old age of 4 years old, seeing Star Wars for the first time, I became obsessed with the movies. What they were, what they did, what they meant. I turned that obsession into a career, climbing the filmmaking and storytelling ranks as a screenwriter, author, and television maker. Now, I'm taking you on a journey through the cinema that defined my generation, Generation X, in the Celluloid Heroes podcast. Examining the landmark films of the era from the well-known to the obscure to the unexpected, charting a history of cinema growth over the past 50 years, and looking forward to where it's going next. Celluloid Heroes is part memoir, part film analysis, and part exploration of the last 50 years of cinema through a Gen X lens. From the suburban adventures of Star Wars and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, to the Reagan-era cinema of The Right Stuff and Red Dawn, the sunny nostalgia that isn't of Back to the Future and Stand By Me, the year Generation X broke big with Reservoir Dogs and Dazed and Confused, the cautionary Los Angeles center tales of L.A. Confidential and The Limey, the last great golden age of blockbuster filmmaking with The Fellowship of the Ring and Pirates of the Caribbean, and concluding with the mournful ruminations of Inside Llewyn Davis and The Irishman. Celluloid Heroes will take a deep look at the themes, makers, and cultural context of this diverse array of films, and try to determine just what makes them so special to filmgoers, filmmakers, and to this fan in particular, as I chart a life through the movies that inspired me. It's also something of an autobiography of this young film fan who became a filmmaker himself, charting the good, the bad, and the ugly of a life in the creative arts with all of its triumphant moments and bitter defeats along the way. My name is Brad Abraham, and I welcome you to the Celluloid Heroes podcast, a proud member of the Long Box Crusade podcast network. Catch us monthly, and I'll see you there.
Back in 1940, 8 sensational heroes united to create the world's very first superhero team, the Justice Society of America. Now, 85 years later, we're gathering podcasters and bloggers from around the globe for a month-long celebration in an event we're calling JS April. Throughout April 2025, join dozens and dozens of podcasters and bloggers as they each share their own unique tributes to the original and greatest superhero team. Get ready for an all-star month of beloved characters, fascinating insights, and incredible stories. Follow the action on social media with the hashtag JSApril, and visit our website for a complete list of participating podcasters, bloggers, and what they're each covering at fireandwaterpodcast.com/JSApril.
Worlds would live,
worlds would die,
and DC Comics would never be the same again.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, the crossover so epic it reached every corner of the DC multiverse. Join DC Dave
and Doug Adamson as we discuss The Monitor Tapes,
a Crisis on Infinite Earths podcast.
Find us on your favorite podcatcher and join the discussion at themonitortapes.com.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
And welcome back. Check out those promos. They were all great shows. So next up.
Yo, Joe!
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe. American hero. G.I. Joe is there. of the enemy, fighting to save the day. He never gives up, he's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe's there!
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose? To defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe!
I love that opening. Makes me smile every time I see it. But
It's awesome.
So let's go ahead and look at the cartoon. This episode is called The Invaders. Director is Jerry Gibbs and Terry Lemon. Writer, Dennis O'Neill. First aired November the 29th, 1985. The synopsis for this from Wikipedia. Cobra devises a plot to take control of Washington, D.C. and Moscow, and of UFOs, causing suspicion and paranoia between the U.S. and Soviet Union. G.I. Joe and the October Guard, an elite Russian combat force, collectively joined forces to stop Cobra. So let's get some thoughts on this one. Dave, let's start with you this time.
Well, I was excited from the very beginning. I watched this last night. Denny O'Neill wrote it, which I thought was just cool because Denny O'Neill, for those who don't know, famous Batman writer, editor, famous all-round comic book guy. So always fun to see these comic book guys get a run in animation, and plenty of them did in the 80s. I'd not seen this episode ever, and it's so hilarious because I'm such an idiot. When it started and the spaceships flew over, I got excited. I was like, "Wow, aliens in G.I. Joe!" But then a little part of my brain remembered, because I think, Aaron, when I heard them, were right at the tail end of the G.I. Joe toys. You know how they teased the aliens? They sort of were there, but like it was as it was dying.
Right.
And I was like, "Wow, maybe these are the aliens." And then I'm like, "No, these aren't the aliens, Dave, because you've had a full conversation where they barely did the aliens because everything was dead." And then, but like if I was a kid watching this, I would have fallen for this hook, line, and sinker. But it's an enjoyable episode. I really enjoyed it. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love seeing the October Guard, who I know from the comics. And I like the idea of they've got to unite against the alien threat, and at the same time they're fighting in the UN. Obviously, this is still, Reagan versus Russia, sort of, which was very what it was in the 80s.
Yep.
But I liked it. And the October Guard aren't out-and-out villains. I mean, Gung Ho thinks they are, but everyone else is sort of a bit more chilled. And I just thought it was a really good episode overall, a really tight episode. And, yeah, of course, it's revealed that Cobra Commander and the twins and all that are, running a scam, which was predictable but cool. And, yeah, I really enjoyed the episode. And well done, Denny O'Neill. Just a lot of fun. And it was fun to see, like, Dusty in action. I'm not sure how much Dusty I've seen in cartoon format. And I dug it. I thought it was one of the strongest episodes I'd seen in a while for the cartoon. It reminded me how cool the cartoon was,
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. And Brad, do you have thoughts on this issue?
I do, although I find it funny that Aliens was a bridge too far for G.I. Joe, the cartoon, because at this point we've had dinosaurs, we've had Excalibur, and we've had gods of Egypt, but aliens were just a little too far. I will say, though, that I got some pretty major V vibes off of this one, especially in the opening.
Yeah.
We are all of us of a generation that remembers V, the miniseries. I do. Aired on TV in 1983, and it was a genuine phenomenon of a program. And there's a suspiciously similar opening to this one where Mark Singer's TV reporter is caught up in some unnamed Central American conflict in a locale that looks absolutely nothing like Southern California. And there's helicopters and missiles and explosions and jeep chases. And then all of a sudden, boom, big flying saucer shows up. And this kind of reminded me of that, of V. But this being G.I. Joe, it could have been actual aliens for all we knew. The fact that it isn't telegraphed, so it's no big surprise. The reveals that tease out. But I think the big story here is this was the first appearance from everybody's except Gung Ho's favorite Ruskies, the October Guard, in animation. This is the first time they ever appeared in the cartoon. Some slight variation on their comic book iterations. You have Colonel Brekov, you have Horror Show, and you have Diana Although she looks a little different from her comics version. This one's a brunette. The one in the comic is a blonde. And there's a few other guys who are a little different. There's like a weird cowboy Russian, which kind of struck me as a little bit odd, but because they were trying to set them up as a parallel to the G.I. Joe team, it would make perfect sense that the comic book or the cartoon version of the October Guard would have a cowboy in there, Yep. But it makes me wonder if there wasn't some rumbling behind the scenes about maybe introducing them into the toy line at some point. Either imagining it, or it's just my spiking fever that's making me think that at one point they were considering doing it, and then just kind of got spiked when they said, "Who's going to buy toys based on Soviets?" It's just not.
So there was never coming out with never figures in the original line. Is that right?
No. Like in the 2000s.
I think there was like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set during the 25th anniversary where they did versions of that. And the October Guard are one of those lines that are groups of characters that everyone keeps talking about bringing to Classified, and the Classified line has done a pretty good job of introducing some elements from the cartoon. Like they're doing a Cold Slither pack for Comic-Con this year, and there's also the irradiated Snake Eyes with the big polar bear from the first miniseries, which is coming as well. But
they're also introducing the mass device, like say in the Breaker, and
But
I could see the October Guard showing up in class.
I could too. I think they do a good job of kind of straddling the line between stuff that's based off of the comic and stuff that's based from the cartoon. And I will say that despite the makers of the TV show claiming repeatedly that they avoided reading the comic, we've had Springfield, or we're about to have Springfield introduced in the cartoon, and now we've got the October Guard. So one does wonder if someone was just kind of taking a little spin through and decided to put them in here, but they had to change them up somewhat so they wouldn't be quite as blatant to take off. But I think on a whole, it's a pretty fun episode. That's my overall takeaway with the cartoon in this era, but this episode in particular. They do their job. They're fun. They show off the hardware. They give some lesser played with Joe's time in the spotlight, like Dusty, which was kind of the overall goal to boost those toy sales of the lesser known figures. But I wanted to ask, did anybody recognize Horror Show's voice?
No, I did not.
No? Okay. That's Frank Welker of Transformers fame, Megatron, Soundwave, many others.
Yes.
After watching this episode, I watched this last night while I was dealing with my fever. I was compelled to do a little bit of reading up on him. And his career, he's still active today. His career began in the late 1960s. He's had something like 850 film, television, and video game credits as of 2020. Wow. And they say two things. One, this makes him one of the most prolific voice actors in all of history. And with his films, cumulatively have earned a total box office gross worldwide of $17.4 billion, which makes him the fourth highest grossing actor as of 2024. So
it's crazy.
Frank Welker, good on you, man. I hope you get residuals from all these, because even just doing a couple of lines in a Transformers movie or a Star Wars movie or whatever.
Yeah.
If you got a good agent and the unions got you, you're getting a little bit of stuff. But I just wanted to add one more quick little thing. I recently nabbed a DVD copy of V the miniseries, and I have to say, after watching it 40 years on, it holds up quite well. It's a very good, very ambitious piece of sci-fi television.
Oh, yeah, it is,
The final battle in the series, though, are not. So this has been my bonus review of the original miniseries. Check it out, and maybe don't check out the other two.
See, I watched the miniseries. I watched the ongoing TV show at the time that was after it with what's the guy's name? He's like super famous. Is it Ironside?
Michael Ironside, Canadian.
Oh, Canadian. Yeah.
He was really good in it. He was really good. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say I enjoyed V the series. I enjoyed the miniseries. I enjoyed V the Final Battle. The series, I watched it, and I was less than impressed with it. But
I wanted to just quickly add about Michael Ironside that a friend of mine up in Canada is making a documentary about him, and they just recently interviewed him at his home and everything. Him talking about his career. So there's going to be a cool Michael Ironside documentary coming in the near future.
Very nice.
He's a genius. He was a really, really, really good actor, in my opinion.
And Hines says that the miniseries was awesome.
It was.
Yes. Oh, and also,
and you are right. When they appeared over them, that's how they appeared in V. They just sort of appeared over cities and stuff. Yeah.
And Dave Martell says V was awesome.
It had, for those who don't remember it, it had heavy, at least the original series, it had heavy similarities to, like, it was commentary on, like, the Nazis and the Jews and stuff.
Mhm.
Like, it was really obvious when you watch it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because they had, like, the collaborator guy. Remember him?
Yeah.
That
the
bastard.
posters going up. That snot-nosed kid. Yeah. Who turns
Real
his
quick,
family
Dave
in.
Martell
Yeah.
says he's got to go. He'll join us another time. And Michael Ironside is awesome.
He's awesome. Hey, Aaron, get Michael Ironside on the show. I'll join.
I can go with that.
Is he still alive? Is he still
I
alive?
think so. Yeah.
I think he voiced Darkseid in the animated series.
I want to say it's correct. Somewhere, yeah. And Hines says, Michael Ironside is welcome to the party. Oh, welcome to the party, Richter. And Total Recall.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Now I'm in such a mood to watch Total Recall. After dinner.
Great movie. Great
It's
movie.
time. It's time.
Great movie. Awesome.
And I was just looking real quick. And yeah, Michael Ironside is 75 years old.
That's actually younger than I
75 years
expected.
young.
Yeah.
75 years young. He's still.
He's probably smoking a cigar somewhere, you know?
He's
probably.
He's got to be just enjoying himself. I think he's
Glass of
enjoying
whiskey.
being Michael Ironside.
Yeah, he's just
if I was
relaxing.
him, I'd be just
So
enjoying
would I.
the fact.
Hey, I wonder how much Denny and Neil got paid to do the episode. I wonder what it paid back in the 80s, you know?
Well, I don't think he was paid any special.
No, I know.
He's
But
Denny
what was the
O'Neil.
rate?
But I think
What was
back
the
at
rate?
the time, I'm not sure what the rate was back then. It must have been pretty good. If you were primarily a comic book writer, it would have been a nice bonus bit of money. And, you got a royalty or residual every time it aired. And then through things like residual sales, DVD sales, and things like that, you got a little bit of money. I mean,
I love Denny. Denny's one of my
humble
favorites.
brag. I get a little humble bragging here. Over my 25 years career, I still get residuals for things I did many
Oh,
years.
that's good.
And they're always a nice little bonus. That's why I bought that 3D Joe's Art of G.I. Joe.
And that's why I bought the fifth property.
Yes. Oh no,
That's why I bought the Lakeside property.
If only it was that much. It's nice. It's nice Christmas time money.
It's a nice little something.
It's mostly nice money that just goes into my kids' college fund. So it's just a
very
little
nice.
extra check arrived. So just
God bless.
toss it in there.
Very nice. Yeah. There's my kids' college fund. My kids aren't going to have college. Anyways, yeah, Michael Ironside's still somewhat active. The last thing he did was in 2022, 2023, a HBO series called Barry. It's a black comedy
I know
series.
that. It got the guy from Saturday Night Live. I don't know what his name is.
Bill Hader.
Yeah. Bill Hader. That's it. Yeah.
So yeah, so he's still active. So, yeah, and yeah, he was very So he still does a little bit here and there to geeks. He was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 2016. He did a voice. He was in the 2015 The Flash.
I got to plug his Canadian work. Obviously, he is Canadian. He's a Canadian actor, and he got his start in sort of lower budget Canadian film and television, including a very memorable role in David Cronenberg's film Scanners.
Oh yes,
where at a famous scene at a demonstration, he uses his psychic powers to make a guy's head explode, and and everything else. But that's kind of where he cut his teeth in Canada. And I've actually been watching a series on YouTube, a channel called The 80s Project, and it's this guy who is watching every 80s horror movie from 1980 through 1989, and he's been going for several years now. I think he's just up to 1984, but a lot of Canadian horror films, some good Australian ones as well.
Very nice.
So yeah, if that's another plug, if you're interested in 80s movies, there's a bunch of movies with Michael Ironside in them, including one called Visiting Hours, where he plays this, I guess not against type, this deranged, crazy serial killer type, but a lot of fun stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, no, he's an active career. He's been very, Go ahead and jump into my thoughts. I've got a lot of thoughts on this. So yeah, Dusty. Love Dusty. He's a great character. Again, as I said, he was in the first issue I picked up, so he kind of has a special place for me. Also, the Silver Mirage that featured in this episode. Yeah, where's Kevin? We need to rag on these. The October Guard. Again, as we were talking about, I'm waiting on the classified version of these. Real quick, before I continue my thoughts, Dave Martell jumps back in real quick. He wanted to add that The Invaders is one of his favorite episodes. He's missed the discussion. From the moment he watched as a kid, he became fascinated by the October Guard. Hines pipes in and says that Michael Ironside has been in a few movies from the Asylum. And as I was in the process of commenting, the Silver Mirage is not a good toy. Again, yeah, we don't have Kevin here to rag on it because whenever we mention the Silver Mirage, they show up. He's always got not a positive word to say about him. But yeah, I was saying the October Guard and waiting on the classified, especially horror show. I think he's one of my favorite characters from the October Guard.
Is he the big guy?
Yeah, the big guy that was arguing.
He's awesome. His conflict with Gung Ho was awesome.
Yes, fantastic. A spaceship shows up and captures the twins, yet some G.I. Joe fan says Cobra Law was too far.
Yeah.
Anyways, and yeah, again, as I was saying, I love horror show and Gung Ho's back and forth. It's fantastic. At the UN, both Russia and the U.S. thank the others behind the alien attacks. Stupid politics. I comment on that. Didn't get a good image of it, but barbecue in a parka with the hood pulled up. He's got his helmet on. Yet he's also got the parka hood pulled up. Just me, or is that kind of weird? I don't know.
Double up.
And since Kevin's not here, I'll say it. Diana, hot.
Yeah, severe Russian way. Yeah, sure.
I like that severe Russian way.
Yeah.
Following up with that, when Snake Eyes captured Diana, all I got to say is lucky man.
It looks like he's having a good time there.
Although I think Dave's saying that because she's not wearing a bikini, though. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She's quite covered.
Yes, unfortunately. Yep. But anyway, that's another story entirely. Yeah, the twins are keeping up with the charade until the Dreadnoks ruins it and tells the Joes the truth. Or it's Dreadnoks, of course. Next thing I got here is Trouble Bubbles. Need I say more?
Yeah. Did you make a few more purchases after this, Aaron? You bought a couple more Trouble Bubbles for yourself?
No, just the two right now. Well,
okay.
I think I got three. I got two of the regular Trouble Bubbles and the what was it? The Tiger Force, not Tiger Force, the Python Patrol one.
One day his wife's going to come in and he's going to be sitting in a Trouble Bubble.
Oh, if I was only talented enough to make one or had the money to buy one, I would. I most definitely would. In fact, if I was talented enough or could find one, that would be my living room chair.
Yeah, I get it.
In fact,
I can so imagine it, man.
Mine. Something to look into. And again, we were talking about horror show and Gung Ho. They're back and forth. But I do love when the chips are down and Gung Ho falls down. That horror show jumps down, picks him up, and saves him.
Yeah,
I do love that.
Stinking liberal, Denny O'Neill, giving the Russians, some good features. Commie.
That, but and then Diana, yo Joseph, made me laugh. Yeah, hot. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the. That's where my thoughts on the cartoon. Yeah, great cartoon. Yeah, again, when I had forgotten that these weren't actually aliens when they showed up, and so when the aliens showed up, I'm like, and Cobra lost too far. What the Jesus? But then come find out it was just a Cobra play. And then I'm like, why is Cobra going this far when they could have just done Cobra vehicles to do what they're doing?
I don't know. Well, because they wanted to get I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, part of it was, to make United States and Russia think the other was behind it and get them at each other's necks and kind of disguise what they were doing. So I kind of figured out as it went along, but at first I was, what the hell?
Yeah.
But real quick, we're going to go ahead and, before I go any further, we're going to do the PSA. So enjoy this.
You okay? My nose is bleeding. Put your head back.
That's the wrong play.
Footloose.
Pinch your nose closed and lean forward. If it doesn't stop in 5 minutes, we'll pack your nose with gauze and pinch it closed for 10 more minutes. If it's still bleeding, then see a doctor.
The bleeding stopped. Now we know how to stop a nosebleed.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! And you half expect them to finish that off with, that doesn't work. Smoke a doobie, man.
Yes, smoke a doobie. That's hilarious. You know what it would be now? It would come up like, this advice is not medical, blah, 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 no liability attached to our, some shit like that.
Yeah, pretty much. But unless you guys have other thoughts on the comic or cartoon, politics, or on getting high.
Definitely on getting high. Definitely getting high, yeah.
Not that the G.I. Joe Headcast supports that or encourages it.
Sure.
So, Just a week ago, it was 420, man. Anyways, Brad, if people want to hear more about you, where can they go?
Right over my shoulder here. I am the host of the Celluloid Heroes podcast, which is going quite strong after only 4 months in. Which is all about Buck Rogers in the 25th century. We've done 2001: A Space Odyssey, Star Wars, and Battlestar Galactica. And I guess I can tease out here that next month's episode, the May episode, is going to be the third of a 3-part series called Attack of the Killer Bees, the first being Battlestar, the second one being Buck, and the third one being my favorite Disney movie of the 1970s. I, of course, The Black Hole. That'll be fun to jump in. If you haven't jumped in already, I do encourage you to, because I'm having a lot of fun yammering on about movies and other things like I always do. But until then, you can find me at my website, bradabraham.com, on various social media platforms that I don't check, and at the Celluloid Heroes Pod, which is, of course, a part of the Long Box Crusade podcast network. So there you go.
Cool.
Very nice. And Dave, I know you got some podcasts going on. Where can they hear more about you?
Well, they can hear about me in the heavens where my name rings out. But Signal of Doom is everywhere. We have a very big May lined up on Signal of Doom, which is my comic book and comic book movie podcast that I do. We've got James DeMatteis coming back on the show in May, and we've got, drumroll, Joe Kelly, Superman, Ben 10, Deadpool, Spider-Man, current Spider-Man writer, is coming on the podcast in May. So we've got those 2 guests. And yeah, we just, I'm on most of those social media. I must admit, I'm not on Blue Sky. So if you went to Blue Sky, I'm nowhere. Threads, I'm nowhere. But Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, you can find me in all those places. And you can just find me wherever good podcasts are found. Signal of Doom. And I want to say thank you guys for having me on.
Always.
At the end of the day, if you type in Signal of Doom into your podcast app, we're going to come up. So that's essentially what you should do. We're weekly, by the way, so there's plenty of content. And we have a great time, actually, me and Rich. And I'm really looking forward to James DeMatteis and Joe Kelly in May. I've got my interviews all lined up. I'm ready to go.
Very nice. Fantastic. And before I go on, Heinz says, thank you guys for another great podcast. Well, thank you very much, Heinz, for joining us. And yeah, I'll have to have you on the show one of these.
Come on, Heinz.
If you want to talk about, or if you just want to, show up, let me know. You're more than welcome to come on, man.
Definitely.
And for myself, again, as I talked about earlier, I've got a bunch. I've got facebook.com/group/GI Joe. That's the only one I really do anything with. I've got all these others listed, but x.com/GI Joe Headcast, patreon.com/Headcast Network. I go there, throw a few bucks in the tin if you like what I'm doing. Instagram.com/Headcast Network, twitch.tv/Brotherhead69. I've actually started.
You're on TV, man. Wow.
Actually started doing the Twitch stream for these shows. YouTube.com.
The girls are yelling, take it off, take it off.
Anyway, people pay me not to do that. But and GI Joe at headspeaks.com is the email. You can go ahead and visit me all those different places. And I do want to say, there we are. I want to thank you, all those that's watching live. Thank you for those that listen to the podcast. And especially, again, I forgot to put Brad on here because he told me he's going to be on.
Poor Brad misses out, man.
Special guest, my thanks, David Finn. And again, Dave Martell showed up. And of course, Brad Abraham. So again, and Joseph Jackson says that really enjoyed, guys. Well, thank you for joining us, Joe. I appreciate you too, man. I appreciate everyone that joins in. I appreciate you guys giving thoughts here in the chat. I love hearing from people. Even sometimes I have a problem doing this. I grew up on technology, but sometimes I have a problem doing this for some reason.
I think you do a good job, man. Frankly,
thank you, my friend. But unless you guys have any other comments, that's going to do it for this month. We'll be back here next month. Be sure to visit, like I say, on the third Friday of the month. I do my unboxings. Next month, I will be doing the His Tank / was the Megatron His Tank GI Joe Transformers combo. I got picked that up from Big Bad Toy Store for like $35 or something like that. It was like half price. Nice. And I also have the Optimus Prime from Transformers the movie. So I'll be opening those up next month, the third Friday of the month. And again, the fourth Sunday of the month, we're doing this show. And I'm trying to fit in another Sunday to do like Bravo Team and other stuff. So keep watching for that. Until next month, remember, knowing is half the battle.
Yo,
Yo,
Joe.
Joe.
G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, is available monthly on iTunes, Stitcher, and at headspeaks.com. All characters and stories are owned and trademarked by their respective owners. We claim no ownership other than our opinions. All audio and images are used for entertainment purposes and falls under fair use. We make no money from this headcast. For more of the monthly G.I. Joe, check out the IDW series. For the stories we're covering, look for the comics and trade paperbacks. Let us know what you think. Send us an email letting us know your thoughts. Joe's dismissed.